What's up? Welcome in. Trying something different without Parks here. So we're going to see how this rolls. If he's watching in an airport somewhere and he's just like, what the hell are we doing? This is amateur hour. Well, welcome in.
Having an aneurysm.
Yeah, he's losing his mind. We're trying something new, okay? My name is Jake. I'm the temporary host in the meantime as Parks is doing real-life adult work stuff. We're just going to give you guys the rundown before we jump into the intro, and we have an action-packed episode for you guys this week. As it is week 7, we have crossed the halfway point of the college football season, and week 7 is finally here. We have a couple of thoughts and takeaways from week 6, and we have a giant slate to cover for week 7. Ohio State, Illinois, Alabama, Missouri, Indiana, Oregon, Arizona State, Utah, and of course, our G5 game of the week. Not going to spoil it. You got to stick around for that, but we do have a special edition of our G5 game of the week in Kent State, UMass, because, boys, we cover all 136. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Appreciate you tuning in, Parks. Let's play it. What's up, everybody, and welcome back into the Play the Fight Song College Football Show. Was my timing all right there? Parks is always, he's just spot on when he gets it. I feel like when I do my Iowa State video, I'm always a couple of seconds behind. Appreciate you guys jumping in tonight. The boys are all here outside of Parks. Parks is out. We call in our reliever. We bring in my brother Justin, and as well as Reese, who's kind of with us as he's kind of keeping an eye on his Cubs. And then Jordan is here as well. Appreciate the boys jumping in with us tonight. JP, week 7, ready to rock and roll. Like we're not going to a wedding this week, are we? Like we're gonna have eyes on the TV for 12 straight hours.
Prepared. I would say as prepared as one could be without being over prepared and just overlooking Wednesday night games, Thursday night games, right? Like we got games tonight, we got games tomorrow night. Good Friday night slate, really good Saturday early, and a 9:30 kick, or is that 8:30 kick out in Utah? About as good as it's going to be. I sprinkle in a little. Give me that. Come on, Reese. All right.
We're not going to do this. Isn't Twitch here. We're not going to do the live show of us watching the Cubs game. We're not doing one of them watch shows. That's not what we're doing here. Turn the baseball off.
It's over.
We're good. It's game over.
Is it actually over?
Yeah,
play the song.
Bottom 9 or top 9.
Play the song.
Hey,
I think we get flagged by YouTube.
We're going to be a couple weeks from the sports equinox. We're just locked into October baseball. We're locked into the college football slate. And some real telltale games this weekend we'll get into and kind of what they mean for each of the conferences.
Yeah, Reese, now that we've kind of put the baseball game to bed, we'll let you celebrate afterwards. How are we doing tonight? Q's got who this week? We ready to get rocking and rolling, but we're ready to push the playoff baseball to the side, right?
Yeah, for right now, we got the next couple hours. We got a couple days off for some baseball. I got a buddy down here in Kansas City. I think I'm going to call him up. We're going to go watch a game one of these nights. But yeah, no, we're good. It's been a good week getting myself back down to Kansas City. Was back home for the past weekend, caught up with some old buddies. But yeah, let's talk some college football, boys.
Justin, I know we're going to be road dogs
marathon
this weekend as we head out to Boulder. He is also the marathon man, jack of all trades. We want to make sure we're spelling road dogs correctly though when you get a chance down there.
It's fine. I was saying, I watched that
to the dyslexic. That would be
preview, and it was the whole thing too. I was like,
that would be right, Justin.
Let's see if I can edit that one.
Let's throw it to you before you change it here. We are heading out to Boulder tomorrow. Actually, you're heading out Friday. Colin's got a big one this weekend. How we doing? You ready to kind of take the reins for Parks tonight? You got a lot of pressure. No pressure, but you got a lot of pressure on your shoulders here.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling good about this weekend. Always fun when we get to go on a road game. It kind of sucks. I feel like whenever we do like this,
it's always a good week.
100%. It's always a really good week. And then like we miss a bunch of games, and I don't know. It's just kind of the bad thing about actually going to games, but there's nothing better than actually getting out and experiencing a college football environment, especially a place we've never been before. But I can't help but notice, are you wearing a Colorado shirt?
My God, no.
Oh, it's
There's
Pitt.
no way.
Okay.
It's from
I know
Pitt.
you've got a Colorado one.
No. I got rid of that a long time ago. We're
Okay.
fine.
Colorado
Colorado State guy.
Yes, I know
We're
that.
we're a Rams family around here, even though it's a bad football team and it's even worse than Colorado. That's what I got put into. I guess it was by choice, but didn't really have much of a choice there. So, all right.
It was by choice.
By choice, not really by choice. I don't think I had a
decision-making process.
Yeah, I don't think I had another choice to pick a different team. So, all right, boys, I know JP, we do want to get rolling here. Let's recap week 6 very briefly. Crazy weekend. Hey, don't let the casuals tell you we have a weak slate, because then you're going to get probably the biggest upset of the entire weekend as Penn State goes down at UCLA. But we're just going to do our takeaways. It is already Wednesday, and we want to move on to the next week.
Let me
Justin,
take a hold of this because it's
okay,
related to what you just said. Yeah.
Sure.
My biggest recap is you can never count out a Saturday in the fall. Like it is almost undefeated in the fact that people will bitch and complain about a slate of football games and then be the first ones hyping it up and tweeting about it and saying, oh my goodness, can you believe how good this weekend was? They're the same ones that were complaining on Tuesday and Wednesday about how bad the slate was. Don't let them tell you that, right? We told you that on Monday before our show last week. It's just how it is. You don't count out a slate of football games, especially if it's bubble. It's going to be mayhem. We've already seen it the last couple of years, even more so this year. So next time someone tells you the slate stinks, tell them to figure it out.
And it's the same people. I heard this on a podcast, and it had to have been one I listened to pretty regularly. I can't figure it out who said it, but they were the first ones to say that Penn State losing on Saturday was bad for the sport because these brands are losing and they're going to be out of the playoff. You know, your Texases, your Clemsons, your Penn States, and my eyes almost rolled to the back of my head. I was just so annoyed hearing that because I really could care less who's really at the top, because I know we're going to get 12 really good teams here by the end of the year. Justin, I'll throw it to you. What was your biggest takeaway from week 6?
Yeah, kind of just like you said there. I'm so over already. I mean, it's Wednesday already. I'm so over talking about like Penn State and Texas and even Clemson to an extent. There's like I don't know when the last time we've had this much parity in college football. I know we were even saying it last year, being the first year of the 12-team playoff, and it felt like it was so wide open. I know Ohio State's really good this year. Oregon's really good this year, but I legit feel like there's like 8 or 9 teams who could have a legit shot at winning the national championship this year. And even when you look at the Big 12 race, Texas Tech is starting to pull away a little bit, but they have a legit national championship shot. You look at the SEC, and who knows how that's going to turn out. I know we're going to touch on the Bama-Missouri game later today. But you got teams like A&M, Ole Miss, can't count out Georgia, and then you still got Ohio State, Oregon. There's just so many teams in the mix this year, and I just want to make sure those teams get the light and the love that they deserve.
Reese, before I throw it to you, I'll piggyback off of you, Justin. My takeaway was, is it 2007 2.0? Now, I don't think it's still as crazy as 2007. I just honestly don't know if it will ever top that. It's just one of them great historical years of like Kansas and Missouri are playing for a national championship. Rutgers and USF were 2 of the best teams at college football at one point in the season. I don't think we're ever going to get that again, but Justin, you mentioned the P word. You mentioned the parity. There's just so much of it right now. 3 preseason top 10 teams have officially dropped out of the top 25. I haven't been fact checked on that, but I would assume we haven't had that in quite some time, maybe going back to 2007. So it feels a little 2007-esque. And I think there's just a ton of conferences right now that we see a couple of decent favorites, but I just see a lot of parity within the conferences. The SEC, the Big 12, like you got Tech for the Big 12 and you got Miami for the ACC, but man, those battles for second place right now, at least to this point, and who knows how it might finish up. The battle for second place or to get to the conference title, it's still as narrow as ever. So that's really awesome. Reese, we'll finish up with you. Week 6 recap or takeaways from the week.
Say one thing that just kind of struck me is I was watching Ted Lasso episode, and I'm like, his favorite fish or favorite animal is a goldfish because it's got a 10-second memory. If I'm one of these coaches, it's like, dude, that game last week, yeah, it sucked, but flush that thing because you still have a long season ahead of you. Like, we talk about Texas and Penn State, Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, like losing those games. But I mean, do we remember Ohio State losing to Michigan last year and then they go off and run the tables? Do we forget about Notre Dame losing as a 4-touchdown favorite at home against NIU? Tennessee lost a bad game on the road last year against Arkansas. They ran and made it to the college football playoff and then lost to Georgia later in the year too. Clemson lost 3 games. They got run out of the house by Georgia and then by Louisville at home. Like, there's still opportunities for these teams to go through. And like you keep talking about the parity. If you can get to the 12-team playoff with the way the college football sport is going, if you can get there, everybody has a shot. And I just think like you're going to count some people out, but you still have great teams, great coaches, great coordinators, great players. They're playing because they're the best that school has, and they can still go compete and have a shot for this thing at the end of it. But you just got to brave the storm, man. There's highs and lows when it comes in the season. And right now, some teams are out their lows, some teams are out their highs, but you just got to brave it because if you think you're bad now, give it a week. If you think you're good now, give it a week. So be a goldfish, teams.
That would be my headline before we get into our game or our week 7 previews. Would be like, I know we need refreshed on it every single year, but college football fans, welcome to the month of October, because I would say the month of October is gut check time. Like, you really find out what your football team is made of and whether or not these teams are going to withstand. Because like, I just Big 12 wise, I'm hearing some of these schedules. It is like Arizona State has Tech, Utah, Iowa State, and there's a bunch of other schools. We saw South Carolina's next 5 weeks. They're all like top 10 teams. It's getting into the meat of conference season, and now you're not getting any weeks off pretty much. So we're going to find out a ton. So welcome to the month of October. So let's get into that. Before we jump into week 7 previews, as JP kind of figures out his mic situation. JP, I would jump in. You sound fine. It's not your mic, but you definitely sound good enough. Like, you're going to get the point across. We want you back here, brother. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below any thoughts you have as we break down these games, because we have a ton of them. And as always, maybe I'm a little late to the party, but our show is always partnered by our friends at No Rivals. Down at the left-hand corner, shopnorivals.com. Justin tonight rocking the clone NATO, or the bugle logo from No Rivals. Sign NATO. I love it. JP or Reese is rocking the triangle 2-lane version. First time I've seen that one in person, that edition, that collection from No Rivals. I do like it a ton. That is a good one. So check those guys out. Shopnorivals.com. Use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping to let them know that Play the Fight song sent you. So shout out to our friends at shopnorivals.com. All right. I think we're going to jump into week 7. I'm looking at Jordan down there. He's giving me the thumbs up. JP, you still take the graphics tonight. Let's go through this. There's a ton of good games for the Big Ten. There's a lot of big games for the Big Ten this weekend that's kind of could shape the conference early here in October. But we're going to go to Champaign for the first one. Ohio State at Illinois. I'm really intrigued for this one. I know there are a lot of people that have a bad taste in their mouth. Probably the last time they watched Illinois, it might have been the USC game, but everybody just can't get out that image of that night in Bloomington and what Indiana did to that football team. But we finally get a battle. I don't know the official name for this trophy, but we get the battle for the turtle. For the first time since 2017, we get this one back. So JP, if you know do you know the real name? The Illy Buck? Is that what it is?
Okay. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. Sorry, my microphone and all my head stuff was like going crazy.
You're good, bro.
We can hear you.
Illy Buck. So that is the name of the turtle officially, I believe.
Well, JP, then I'm going to throw it to you as the Big Ten guy. Talk to us about the Illy Buck. What can we expect for this rivalry renewed?
Yeah, you kind of look at it from a couple different perspectives. You look at another test for Ohio State going on the road, and then another, here's a blank slate. You're 1 for 2 Illinois on how things look. You have another chance to pass the test here and hopefully put yourself in a situation where you're looked at 10-2 with 2 good losses and not 2 blowout losses in some spots. So you want to put yourself in a spot where you have a chance to win the football game. You're staying within the number and keeping it competitive. This time you're doing it at home. Now, Ohio State's already been on the road in a spot in Washington and kind of controlled things the way they wanted to. And I think the matchup with Ohio State and Illinois is a little different than what Illinois saw with Indiana and a little different than what Ohio State saw with Washington for a couple of reasons. I think Illinois is more prone and more able to go down and score. Like Altmaier's been consistent. They've consistently had a really good pass offense. Now the weapons on the outside aren't like high end, but they've been really good and they've been supplemented by a good run game. Ohio State is just as good as Indiana, if not better in some spots at getting after the quarterback. They're able to cover you downfield with the secondary in some spots. I think if you can get pressure on Altmaier, it kind of alters the way that Illinois has to adjust. And if they can get pressure with 4, it really changes a lot of things. It makes it tough on them. So is Illinois able to use the run game to kind of relieve some of that pressure if he is getting consistently hit in the pocket or has to move around, scramble out to make plays? Is there a way that they can use the run game in that case? It's hard to run the football in Ohio State. Illinois has been solid at it. They do it kind of by committee in some spots. And is there a way on the flip side? Is Ohio State going to kind of just take the top off and continue to make big plays and let 4 go win a couple downfield passes or a couple guys elsewhere on the offense that Illinois is just not going to be able to cover? Because Illinois has been prone to give up big passing plays. Look what USC was able to do to them. Obviously, we saw what Indiana was able to do to them. There is gaps that you can go get. And is anybody really better in the country than Ryan Day in that scheme and getting guys open and just letting quarterbacks hit open guys in space and letting them do the rest? Because that's the tough part here. If you are looking at Illinois, they're allowing a 34% pressure rate. That's a big deal. And then their 42% success rate in the rush. Neither one of these are really playing into the hand of Illinois to come out and really battle in this one. But you can't take from account that they've been on the side of, hey, there's a big win at home. We felt what that felt like. We went on the road and had a rough one with Indiana. There's a bounce back spot. There's a morality in this game. There is a world where it is just a mental thing and things happen. So if you're Illinois, you got to be able to establish the run a little bit, keep Altmaier up and clean, and then keep the big plays out and make Ohio State consistently go 65 to 70 yards, like more so like what they had to do at Washington and make plays.
I think one of the underrated, or I guess under the radar scores of last weekend was Ohio State just beating the tar off Minnesota and just doing it, quite honestly, pretty easily. I know we've seen this Ohio State team at times at Washington, at Texas, but I feel like we haven't really tapped into truly what this Ohio State team can become. Reese, lay it out for us. Like, what do you got as far as this matchup goes, or is there anything we need to know about this Ohio State team that we haven't learned yet?
Well, I just think it's Brian Hartline and saying they just got to do what they've been doing, because I think defensively, Patricia has this team just squared away. I mean, you've only given up 2 touchdowns on the year. You're giving up 5 points a game, 91 yards on the ground, and 124 through the year. I just think Ohio State defensively, you talk about what they just did last week, and then a couple weeks ago, you go to Washington against a good quarterback up there too, in a place that's tough to play. Like, they just shut it down. Altmaier has to be absolutely lights out. Not saying Ohio State, like, it's a guaranteed thing, but because we remember Ohio State went to Iowa how many years ago and absolutely got upset. Ohio State went to Purdue a couple years after that, got absolutely shut out there too as well. So, like, it's not a thing where it's like, there's no way Illinois can't win this football game. Like, Ohio State's known to drop these games sometimes in their past. But I just think if Illinois is going to do that, Altmaier has to continue doing what he's done, which is not turn the ball over yet. He's been very successful with that. He's got over 1,000 yards in the air. Then the other thing, too, is Hank Beatty. Like, he has to be the X factor. There's always some guy in one of these games who has to have big play after big play. And if Illinois is going to have any chance of this thing, like, that guy's got to show up, whether it's returning the kicks or punts or catching balls with a crosser and making a couple guys miss. Like, he just has to show up at Altmaier. Like JB mentioned, the pressure rate, like, you got to keep him upright. He's got to be able to get to his second read if he can. And they have to capitalize on 6, because this Ohio State defense, they're just going to keep coming every single drive. Like, they're not going to let you get anything. Like, if Ohio State is making you take field goals, it's going to be a long night for Illinois. Like, you just have to capitalize and get 6 when you can.
100%. Justin, is this the best defense in college football in Ohio State?
I would say it has to be, no question, so far this season. I mean, giving up most points they've given up in a game this year is 9 to Ohio, only giving up 2 touchdowns through 4 games. It's kind of crazy what they've been able to do so far. And as someone who bet on Washington to cover the week Ohio State went out there, that game really spooked me a little bit. And I do think Illinois is going to put up more of a fight than Washington did. This game being in Champaign. I mean, I know that game was on the road too, but I think we're kind of underestimating Luke Altmaier and this Illinois offense a little bit because of that Indiana game. They've had 2 really good back-to-back games covered against Purdue last week and had a good showing against USC with a lot of explosive plays in that one. So I do think we are going to learn a little more about Ohio State's defense this weekend, but it's just hard to see a scenario where Ohio State doesn't go out and win this one, just because if you were to highlight who's the best player on the field in this game, you might say Jeremiah Smith. I think that's a very easy argument to make, and probably the most shaky group out of both of these teams is Illinois secondary right now because of injuries and things like that. So even if Ohio State struggles early and Illinois jumps out to a lead, I see a scenario where Illinois can end up covering because the line is so big and they could surprise some people and surprise Ohio State's defense. But I have a hard time seeing Illinois having a chance pulling up this outright upset for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I didn't have a ton of notes on this game, but that was the one I highlighted. Was just feels like a bad matchup for Illinois. The injury-plagued secondary versus just 2 of the best wide receiver tandem in college football. Right? Like Carnell Tate, yeah, he's playing at an unbelievable level. Like you can say like Jeremiah Smith has had quote unquote a little drop off so far, but Carnell Tate has just picked up the slack and he's been so good. So I see it as such a bad matchup for Illinois. Really intrigued. JP kind of mentioned it with the pressure stuff. I think Ohio State is okay with just sending 4 a ton against this Illinois offense, but this is a veteran offensive line in Illinois that brought back, I believe, all 5 starters. So,
yeah, but they haven't looked like a team that's brought back all 5 starters. They're lower in run push metrics. They're obviously we're talking about the pass rate or the pressure rate. Like they haven't looked like a team bringing 5 guys back, which is an issue. Now, I also think at the same time, if you're getting a team like that and an offensive line like that, there is an ability to switch it. At some point, maybe something just clicks again. I feel like that's possible. But you're also picking him to do it on a week against one of the better fronts in the country.
I've been back and forth on this one, but JP, I kind of think I know where you're heading with it. So why don't you start us off? Who you got?
Yeah, I think but what this game would do to the image of the Big Ten and to college football, if Illinois was able to get this one, would be monumental. It'd be a little more than Penn State losing on the road to UCLA because it changed perception of Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio State. I'll take Illinois within the number, but I think it's more so they'll sit back and kind of do what Washington did and bet and just make sure they don't give up the big play. And then I trust Illinois to kind of have some heart and some toughness here offensively to just bow up a little bit and make some plays when it's needed. So I'll take Illinois plus the points.
Reese?
Yeah, I would like to think Illinois has a shot. I just gave that stat about Iowa and Purdue going in there, but I think this defense from Ohio State is going to be way too much. I think they go in there and they're not going to blow them out by 35, but I think the number will stay somewhere near it to 17 or 21, somewhere in there, but I think Ohio State covers the number.
Justin, I'm glad we get you on the podcast as someone who's just a tad behind for everybody in the ATS board. You need to kind of speak up for yourself, but maybe this is the week you explain yourself and you bounce back a little bit. So where are you leaning this one?
It's not been great, but I did have the best record. That being said, 2 weeks ago, I did have the best record of anybody. So that just shows how bad the rest of the week.
We'll let him get hot.
We've had a lot of really close games, but
we have.
Give him a banner. Give him the banner. Week 5.
I like Illinois to cover this week, just being at home and kind of being one of the.
So you're saying I should change mine?
Potentially. Big test for Ohio State, but like I said, I don't really see Illinois being able to compete for a full game, and Ohio State just matches up too well against this team. So I've got Ohio State 31, Illinois 21.
Yeah, this is the least confident pick I have of all of our previews this week, but I will go Illinois. Just 14.5 is such a weird number. It's
all right.
It's just number based.
Oh, no.
There's really no ifs, ands, or reasons about it.
I thought it was going to be on an island. To be honest with you,
I also think it's down. I think it's down to 14 today.
14 flat, probably.
We're playing 14.5 for the podcast.
The push stop.
This guy makes all decisions. All right.
I fell on the wrong side of a lot of half points this year. I feel like I can finally get one here. Yeah, I think Ohio State wins by 14, and I finally get the hook. So 3 on Illinois, 1 on Ohio State. Parks did not send me his picks. He just sent me his best bets. So we'll get those on there for you guys. All right, that is Ohio State and Illinois. Let's move it down to an awesome SEC matchup. There are plenty this weekend, but there is a giant one in Columbia, Missouri, as Missouri hosts Alabama. Alabama is now on the end of a three-legged stint where they saw Georgia, Vandy, top-ranked Vandy, and now another undefeated SEC school in Missouri. Since joining the SEC, Alabama has won all 5 matchups between these two by 19 points or more. But this one feels a little different. The spread is at 3 for a reason. The Tigers are a 3-point underdog at home, and it feels like these two programs have been as close as roster comparisons as we have ever seen it. So, Justin, as the Colombian, we call you the Colombian king because you took down down Columbia a time or two in your day.
Columbia.
Take us to Columbia, Missouri. Let's get a preview on this one.
Yeah, this is the game that I'm most excited about this weekend. I don't know if this is where College Game Day is going, but I don't really know if this is getting the hype that it deserves, really, as a game that the winner of this has a really good shot in making it to the SEC championship this year. I mean, you've got, like you touched on, you got Bama coming off of the last two games of Georgia and Vanderbilt, and you've got Missouri still hasn't gone on the road yet this year, and coming off a bye, waiting for this Bama team. They match up, and this is something where I think Missouri matches up really good against Alabama. I think people are probably surprised just looking at where this number is, because Missouri's like a low, not really anymore, but sneakily a really good team and one of the most balanced teams in the country. I'm excited to see Jam Miller go up against this Missouri run defense, as Missouri's graded as, I think, the second highest run defense in the country. Jam Miller finally starting to get hot for Alabama the last 2 games. They're starting to develop a run game. Also, Ty Simpson hasn't been below 64% completion percentage since week 1, but this is also going to be the best pass rush that Alabama's faced, I think, since probably week 1 against Florida State.
Yep, I agree.
And then you've got Ahmad Hardy on Missouri, who's one of the best running backs in the country. That being said, I really want to find all the numbers I feel like kind of point towards Missouri in this one, especially them being at home. But after seeing how good Bama's been the last 2 weeks, it's kind of hard to say that you think Missouri is a better team than Alabama. But on paper, it looks like they might be.
It's not like we haven't seen Missouri get tested. I mean, Kansas and South Carolina are 2 very serviceable football teams, and we've seen them kind of push Missouri a little bit. Really fascinated. It starts with me with the run game with Missouri. You mentioned Ahmad Hardy is one of the best running backs in college football. He might just be the best running back in all of college football. He leads every statistical category: yards, broken tackles, you name it. Now, Caden Green, the left tackle, has been out for a couple of weeks. I think it was turf toe or something. They're leaning maybe. I don't know. The injury report just came out tonight for the SEC. I haven't even had a chance to take a look at it. It would be nice to have him back against this Alabama defensive line. I'm glad, though, Justin, you did mention that I do think this is the best defensive line Missouri has seen. I think it's better than Florida State. Zion Young and Damon Wilson, the Georgia transfer, these are 2 of the best defensive ends duos probably in the SEC. So while I believe Ty Simpson is playing at an elite level, he will get tested and he will see pressure that I don't think he has even seen in a couple of weeks. And that does include the Georgia Bulldogs, of which he saw. Reese, what's your feel on this matchup?
I think you talk about the run game too. It's Prabula too. He's got to get it going. And this Tide defense, they haven't been the best against the run. They were giving up 155 yards on the ground as well too. So that's not a stat that Alabama's used to giving up per every game. And you're talking about how Missouri might be the best defensive pass rush. Imagine a couple years ago, you're saying they're better than a Florida State team and a Georgia team. That's where Drinkwitz has taken this team. This is not a pushover Missouri just going over there. Prabula has been a stud since they got him from Penn State. And then Simpson is just more and more comfortable with Grubb's system ever since that week 1 when they just weren't what they were. And I think as long as he doesn't go in there and have to go to a second, third reads, he doesn't have to get outside of the pocket, and he's making smart throws over the middle that aren't kind of lazy. I think Alabama has a good chance to go in here and handle it. The thing too is like this is a ranked Missouri team, and we know how good this coach is when he's playing his ranked teams. But just going on the road, I think adds a little extra to this. The number being a little smaller, I just think it's a testament to Drinkwitz and this team, what they can do. I wouldn't be shocked if Missouri can go in there or can have Alabama come in there and win this football game. But I think it comes down to Pabula and Hardy. If they get that run game going in the first half, I think that shows what the entire game's going to be like. But if they can't run the football, then I think they're going to have an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think we're finally going to see what we know about Bo Pabula. I still feel like he's a little bit unknown. Like JP, he doesn't have to be the hero in this game, does he?
No, he doesn't have to be the hero in this game, but you have to kind of give some faith to him, and you have to understand what you're trusting him to do in this situation. If you like Missouri a lot, you're now trusting him to beat apart a really good Alabama defense and a really good secondary that they have as well. Now, it's not that to say that Missouri doesn't have weapons and guys that they can go to on the outside, but you are trusting a younger quarterback in a bigger spot where it's probably the biggest start of his career to this point to kind of beat that secondary. And it's not something many people have done yet to this point this year, especially when they have the ability to slow down the run game. So it kind of starts there. But JT touched on it earlier. What do you believe more? Do you believe that Alabama's rush offense is improving, or do you believe that Missouri's rush defense is as good as the numbers tell you they are?
I have, by the way, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I do have them as the number one rush defense, according to my notes.
Well, you add that in, and it's a difference. Like Kansas is able to gas you in some spots. That South Carolina team was without Sellers not. No, they played with Sellers in that one, I believe. But it didn't matter because the South Carolina offense looks inept in some ways.
Yeah, it does.
For me, Ty Simpson has been that good. The receiving core is that good. If the offensive line can hold up and keep him, just give him time to get rid of the football. He gets rid of the football quick. He reads things correctly. If he doesn't get tricked out of a coverage or anything like that, he's been on the money with just about everything he's done. So Missouri's going to have chances to make plays in this one. They're going to be able to get a big sack in the spot. They're going to have a couple big plays, I assume, on the ground and maybe a couple through the air. But kind of where does your trust lie more, right? What do you really believe in this one? Is kind of how someone would pick this game, whether they believe it or not, or they know it. Like they are having this game in their head of who do you believe in more right now?
Yeah, so let's get to picks. I know it feels like every week these lines get stingier and stingier, clearly, because Vegas is learning more. So thanks, Captain Obvious. But this one's really fascinating. We're about to find out whether or not Alabama or Missouri has really caught up to speed of the Alabamas, the Georgias of the SEC. Like, is this a legitimate SEC title contender? Let's go to picks. I'll start first. I don't think so. I think this is a really hot Alabama team right now. I actually am impressed with what I have seen from Missouri. Now, I can even see Missouri losing this game and maybe finding their way back to Atlanta with a rematch with Alabama. When you guys give your picks, I'm going to go back and look at what Missouri's schedule looks like the rest of the season.
Gettable.
But I already have a feeling it is gettable because it was last year. So I got Alabama in this one. I'll just take the 3. Ty Simpson, to me, is playing like probably the best quarterback in college football right now. And I just go back and say it again, like that Florida State matchup was just too weird. And it was the first game of the year, and there was a lot of different elements. You're going on the road in Tallahassee. That is beyond what I think of this Alabama team. I think of this Alabama team completely differently. So I'm taking Bama. Justin, we'll go back to you. What do you got?
Yeah, like I said when I was breaking it down earlier, I'm looking at these teams and looking at who they've matched up against, kind of strengths versus weaknesses. I really want to take Missouri at home, but I've got to see it from Bo Pabula against a team of Alabama stature. I know it's a home game for him, but I've got to see it from him before I can pick them to win a game of this caliber. And I also believe that Bama's kind of righted the ship from week 1 because I think there's a world where the way Florida State was able to ball control Alabama, I think Missouri could do the same thing. I have a lot of trust in Eli Drinkwitz. So it's a really tough pick for me, but I've got Bama winning this one somewhere around the ballpark of like 26-24.
Well, that wouldn't be a cover.
It would be. It's 3.5 right now. I would take it with the hook at 3.5. If it was actually 3, I wouldn't touch it.
Let me double check our book here.
Not enough.
Justin, I don't know if you tune in to play the fight song here much, but we got to be the people want winners, and they're gonna see a logo on our ATS board on X.
I see 3 on the book I use every day, so it's 3.
So I'm jotting you down for Alabama, and speak or
that's
forever
fine.
hold your peace.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Roll Tide roll. Here we go. Reese, what do you got?
Yeah, like you said, Chase, they're just a hot team right now. I don't want to go away from Alabama and Kalen DeBoer and what this team's going for right now. So I'll take Bama on the road.
Oh,
They went to
no.
Athens. They went to Athens and did it, so why not?
JP, this team's black and gold. You could root for this team, can't you? What do you like Missouri?
I think Missouri's a playoff team. I'll say that right now. And I think this is a weird matchup to them. 3 straight Alabama's got to show up for.
Mm-hmm.
How many Kalen DeBoer, how many times have we seen that at him? Last year we didn't see that. It was on or off.
That's true.
I'll take +3. I'll take +3. This is my lowest confidence game of the week. You were talking about Ohio State, Illinois being yours. This is mine. I'll take +3 with Missouri. Things get weird in Como. People, football games, bar scene, all of it.
The church.
Something weird's going to happen. They're going to be able to get after Simpson, get him off his rocker a little bit, enough big plays. Maybe it's a little scoring, but we'll stay within the number here.
Okay. So we got 3 on Bama, 1 on Missouri, and the church is still up at least 10 or 15 points on me from my last time in being Columbia. So that is Alabama and Missouri. Let's move it down. Justin, you mentioned this one earlier. You didn't know where game day was at. Well, let's go to game day. We are in Eugene this weekend as Indiana and Kurt Signetti's group travels on the road to take on the Oregon Ducks, as both of them are coming off a massive and important bye week, where the last time we saw the Oregon Ducks was a really nice win on the road at Penn State, and Indiana just got out of Iowa City ever so slightly. So top 10 matchup, huge one for the Big Ten. Reese, we'll throw it to you for our guest picker on College Game Day. Give us the rundown on this one.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be looking at Kurt Signetti and that offense and Mendoza and what they're going to do. But I think if Indiana's going to go in and win this game, it's got to be the defense. Lewis Moore, they're one of their defensive backs. He already got three interceptions. Isaiah Jones, linebacker, who gets mixed into some blitz packages. He's got 3.5 sacks already. And then that entire defensive line led by Tyree Tucker, who's got 3 already. They have 12 as a unit. So I think you have to go in there. You have to cause chaos for Dante Moore and Corey Moore on the outside. You can't let him get that run game going too, especially like we saw how quick they can turn it on against Penn State. Now they get this game at home. Indiana, like you have to be efficient with the football. I'm not saying you have to keep it away from Oregon the entire time, but when you have the football, you have to be efficient. You have to have your 3rd and shorts. You can't have 3rd and longs. It's going to get loud in there. You get your procedural penalties. It's just going to make it an uphill battle for you every single time. But I just think this is a time where it's Kurt Signetti. That Illinois game, I thought for sure they kept that within the number, and then they just went in there and just put up 63, and they shut that defense down. Or shut down the Illinois offense. So it's a spot where do I really expect Indiana to go in there and win this football game? I don't think they're going to win it, but I think if they are efficient on offense, they can keep up with this Oregon team. Like they can go in there and they can handle their own, especially with what they've shown so far. So
I know I've said it. I think we've all said it as a podcast here. Like this is a better Indiana team than it was a year ago. We've been saying that early here. And the line is an indicator of that this weekend as they go on the road to one of the toughest college environments as a 7.5-point underdog. Like this wasn't last year where they went to the Horseshoe. And what were they, like 13.5, 14? It was up there in the double digit range. Yeah. So JP, like, is this team for real? Like, is this a much better improved Indiana team that's going to actually go on the road in a huge environment and like compete, come out with a win? What do we got?
I think if you have to look at Indiana, there's two parts you would say is clearly better. I think they're better along the defensive line. I think they're better at the quarterback position. There's something I was talking about when Iowa was getting ready to play Indiana is there was one spot where Iowa kind of had to have what they could. It was on the defensive line. They had to get after Indiana's offensive line. It's still an Indiana offensive line that's graded out well, but it's clearly the weaker part of that Indiana offense. They're fine. I'd call them like above average offensive line within the Big Ten. They're not world beaters. They're not going to move people. But Iowa wasn't able to do that as much. Iowa had to blitz to make things happen and to get to Mendoza. Oregon shouldn't have to do that. They should be able to do it with 3 or 4 just based on the talent that they have along that defensive line. They were able to get after Aller a little bit. Do you kind of think that Indiana is going to be able to get theirs with the receivers that they have? Because I do. I believe that their receivers are good enough. Mendoza's good enough to throw the football, that they're going to get theirs still. It's just how much of those big plays? Does it muck it up like Iowa did and make them go extended drives for a long time and it's a here or there 25 yards? Or is it gashes and gashes and gashes? You can't have the missed tackles like Iowa did. Oregon's probably going to be a little bit better on that. This is, again, one of the better defenses in the country on both sides. On the flip side, Oregon was able to play the slow, methodical, make plays when you can thing when they went to Penn State. It took them a little bit of time to make their plays. Dante Moore wasn't really buckling under pressure. He was hitting people that were open. They let the receivers be really good as they are. The offensive line made a lot of plays, kept him clean for the most part, and then the run game was there. Indiana's got a really good front. It's harder to run the football on them. We'll see how they really stack up when they jump to the elite level in position groups that they're playing against for the first time this year. And is there a world where D'Angelo Pons just locks down one half of the field? Because that's what Indiana needs him to do, and that's what he's been hyped up to be in Bloomington, is this guy that shuts down a half the field, and you go from there. Because that could help them out a lot in the pass game. That's to be determined. But you got to slow down the run game for Oregon because they have explosive plays there. The quarterback can run it as well. They block it up well. And if they get going there, you have a really tough time of stopping anything over the top come second quarter, fourth quarter when it comes time that they want to take those shots. So Indiana's going to be able to stay in this offensively. I feel like in some spots. It's just, can you cover on the back end?
We're going to find out, and Pons coming back is massive. I still don't know if it's really even enough because I think Oregon's just loaded across the board. Justin, I ask you first before you give us your rundown. Is this the biggest game of the Kurt Cignetti era so far, or is that just clickbait?
I mean, I kind of think the playoff game last year was bigger.
Playoff game was pretty important.
Yeah. They needed to show up in that game. They couldn't lay an egg and get rolled over. And if they would have won that game, especially against that Notre Dame team who ended up going all the way, that would have turned a lot of heads. But as far as regular season goes, yeah, I think this is a little bigger than the Ohio State game last year. I mean, you look at these two teams coming into it just based off the metrics. This is the number 2 versus number 4 team in ESPN's FPI rankings going up against each other. And that being said, I don't necessarily like the way that Indiana matches up against this Oregon team. I think they play very similar styles of football. Like you said, this Indiana team's definitely better than they were last year. I think you could say that because you've got Mendoza at the helm instead of like an injury-ridden Curtis Rourke, and they've got a lot of other legit dudes across the field, and they play very similar styles of football. 2 Heisman-level quarterbacks playing really efficient, a lot of short passes, letting their athletes get down in space, play a really aggressive style of defense, and if you let them, they're going to bury you. Both these teams are going to do that, and I think Indiana's a lot of their results have looked better than I kind of feel like this team is right now, kind of the same. I think they're better than last year, but I still think they're kind of reaping the benefits of that 63-10 win over Illinois when that really got away from them, especially with those injuries to Illinois secondary. They had 10 explosive plays in that game, so like 10 plays over 10 yards, and then they had 6 against Iowa. I don't really see that happening in Eugene against this Oregon defense. They're too fast, they're too athletic, and coming off a bye, Oregon's going to be schemed up and ready for Indiana coming into their house. So if they don't really have those explosive plays, I could see this offense kind of bogging down a little bit like it did in Iowa City, and if that happens, I think Oregon could really pull away.
Yeah, the matchup for me, like JP, you mentioned the offensive line for Indiana. I think it's more scheme-based, just how quick they get out the football, and obviously having a quarterback like Fernando Mendoza makes the offensive line look a little better. On the flip side, though, like can it continue its success of putting pressure on the quarterback? I think PFF said they play the most zone coverage out of anybody in college football because their defensive line has just been so good up front at creating pressure without a bunch of help from blitzes and things like that. But it's a different task this week, man. Like, this is a top 5 offensive line in college football. If not, it's probably the second best in college football. I would put Miami ahead of them, maybe Texas A&M, but the list is very, very short. And this will be the best offensive line that Indiana sees so far this season. And I thought Iowa's offensive line held up well against them. So I don't know if I really love that matchup for Indiana, because if you're not creating a ton of pressure, that's just going to put a lot of pressure on your back end when you're playing so much zone coverage. So, JP, I'll go back to you, Big Ten guy yourself. Give us a pick for this one. Who do you got?
Is this still 7 or is it 7.5? I don't have mine
7.5.
open.
7.5.
I want to believe this Indiana team's better, and I do think they're better. I should say it that way. I think they're walking into a little bit of a hornet's nest.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I think it's a lot like Illinois going to Memorial and Bloomington and being like, you could have plugged the Giants in there, and it would have felt like Indiana was winning that football game. These are two guys who can make just fuel out of like the nicest compliment you could ever give them.
Yep.
So I'm going to take Lanning here. I think there's a little bit more. I think Indiana stays around. I don't think, I think we talked about it in one of the other previews. Like, they're not going to run them out of the building, I don't think. I think that Indiana is going to be around in it, but just give me like a 10-point win. Oregon wins, they cover, and you still have respect for Indiana. Look at them like, hey, you showed up and played really well in Eugene, right? Like, sometimes you just lose football games.
Reese, you're rocking a lot of green right now. Is that an indicator? Is that who you're going with?
I'm going the other way. I'm not going to go against Kurt Signetti. I think the calm, poised coach with Fernando Mendoza, I think that they're going to go in there. Like I said, just got to be efficient. You cannot give Oregon multiple spots or multiple opportunities early, especially with the crowd. But I think long-term, Indiana can stick around in this football game, and they'll keep it within 7.5.
JT.
A lot to prove from this Indiana team this week. And like you said, I think this is a really tough environment, a really tough spot for them to do that. So that being said, I've got Oregon winning 28-17.
28-17. I think we got another 3-on-1 here. This game reminds me a lot of the Illinois game last year, where like Illinois is a good football team. I do believe they're gonna, be strong in the Big Ten, but like they just could never. It was like 17-3, and they just could never cut it that close to Oregon. And they just like the score didn't indicate it was a big blowout, but like gap wise, it just felt like Oregon was in control that entire time. And I haven't seen an Oregon team not be in control of football games outside of the Ohio State game in the Rose Bowl for these last 2 years since they've been in the Big Ten. So prove me otherwise, especially at home. Come on now. So give me the Ducks. That's 3-on-1. Reese takes.
It's gonna be
Signetti.
It's gonna be 4-1 on the board just to heads up because Parks is not taking Signetti.
Parks wouldn't take Indiana if they were playing Bryant or something. So that's that is Oregon and Indiana. Should be a really good matchup. Excited to see where that one lands. Let's move to our final Power 4 preview for the night before we get into our betting segments and our G5 game of the week. Let's end it on this one, just like we're going to end it on Saturday night. I think, what did you say earlier? Is this a 9:30 Central Time kick? We head out west. Utah hosts Arizona State in what is to be assumed a massive matchup and what could be a giant game with Big 12 title implications down the road as Utah is looking to bounce back after that Texas Tech loss at home a couple of weeks ago. And Arizona State continues to survive these close games after surviving Baylor, surviving TCU. Again, now they're heading on the road to one of the tougher environments in the Big 12. I am just absolutely jacked up. We should be able to get home from the Colorado game to catch all of this stuff. So, you never know. You get caught up in Pearl Street. It comes a long night. You just never know where you end up here. Days, we missed the game. Things do happen. I'll pass on taking this one. I'll let my other Big 12 supporter take this one first. Justin, give us the rundown for Arizona State, Utah.
Yeah, I mean, my first impression looking at this, I'm surprised the line is where it is, especially with the respect that Arizona State kind of gets as the former Big 12 champion and how they've looked this year. But this is a huge test for Utah. Utah comes into this game still with no Big 12 home wins. Is that correct?
Yep.
I'm sure you pulled that out of somewhere. So
they didn't have one last year.
They beat Baylor at home last year, but it wasn't a conference game.
And then the West Virginia game was on the road. So yes, Utah still looking for their first home Big 12 win. Got the night game that they kind of wanted against Texas Tech instead of that 10 o'clock kick. So that should definitely help them out there. But this is a huge spot for both of these teams. I mean, Utah's already got a Big 12 loss. Arizona State still undefeated in Big 12 play, so that's really big for who's gonna kind of fight, I guess, with Texas Tech on seeing who's going to end up getting second in the Big 12 there. But I like looking at the quarterbacks in this matchup. You got Devin Dampier and Sam Levitt, two of the most mobile quarterbacks in the Big 12 and honestly in the country. Arizona State is 6th in the country in yards allowed. And the last time we saw Utah go up against Texas Tech, they kind of became a little one-dimensional. I felt like their offense, making Dampier be a thrower, really kind of limited that Utah offense. We've seen Arizona State get limited in their passing offense like they did at Mississippi State. So to me, it's kind of how can these two defenses take away the strength and take away the run game of the other team? And in that scenario, I kind of feel like Arizona State's got more in their chamber to lean on with Jordan Tyson in that passing game. So it being a night game in Utah really bodes well for Utah, but I think scheme-wise, Arizona State's got kind of an advantage here.
Arizona State's going to be playing a dangerous game over this next 4-week stretch because they're just such an aggressive defense. And then the matchup for me is Arizona State's defensive line versus Utah's offensive line. Arizona State is 4th in the country with 19 sacks. They like to put pressure on you, and we've seen what pressure does to Devin Dampier when he has to sit in the pocket and throw the football. I think he's susceptible to be struggling at times there. I still feel like Utah lacks a number one receiver, to be completely honest with you. But the Wayshawn Parker, Devin Dampier run game, the 1-2 punch of their read option stuff is really good. So that's got to be priority number one if you can stop it in Arizona State. I don't think you've seen a duo like that if you're Arizona State. Like Sawyer Robertson and Josh Hoover were pass first guys. They got good running backs on both those squads, but you haven't seen two quarterback running back options like this. But here's the other caveat to that. Arizona State is top 10 in rush defense. So they are good at stopping the run. But again, they've seen Blake Shapen. Like they have not seen a mobile quarterback like Devin Dampier yet. So I'm super fascinated to see if that's the anomaly or not. On the other side, are you going to contain Sam Levitt? Probably not. Utah struggles defending the run. And I think the more chaos you try to put on Arizona State's offense, Sam Levitt thrives on. He thrives on chaos. He loves to scramble. He loves to get out of the pocket. He doesn't want to sit back there and throw the ball a ton. He wants to create opportunities outside of the pocket with his legs. And then he has the ability to beat you. I mean, he's fast, man. And then he's got probably the number one wide receiver prospect in next year's draft as a bailout option. Pretty good bailout option, if I would say. I did hear Jalen Moss, the Fresno State receiver, all-conference guy last year, could return for his first game at Arizona State. So that could be massive for the pass game at Arizona State. So a couple of things I ran through there that are really fascinating to watch. JP, anything else that stands out to you?
Yeah, I was looking at it. It sounds like Moss is going to play just based on what I was seeing on their board today. If he doesn't, don't hold me to it. I'm reading what I'm reading here.
Hey, you saw it.
But does Arizona State find the success on the ground? We talked about it, how this Utah defense is supposed to be one of the better ones in the country, and then definitely in the conference. But they haven't really looked up to that par yet. They've looked good, but they haven't looked elite like we've seen Utah defenses in past. So how does Arizona State continue to use the run game and without it just being the improvising legs of Levitt? And then on the other side, I got a lot of flack, and we got a lot of flack for just talking about TCU, Arizona State, and just where we thought we were on the Arizona State secondary. I still think they're fine. I don't think they're like this unreal strength of the defense. When you give up less than 2.6 yards a carry, I'm going to call the defensive front your strength. But that's just me. We're looking for a new Big 12 guy for all you commenters out there. Apparently, we don't know anything. But
we're pretty right about that game we had previewed.
There's a world where Arizona State just kind of finds a way to keep hanging around and just scratching and clawing and doing everything they can to stay in it. There's also the effect that you're going into Rice Eccles tonight and things get weird. Utah could run away with this one, but it feels like a lot more of the time you're going to deal with a guy who's gritty in Dillingham and gritty in Levitt. And if he gets Moss back and he's feeling really good, how much does he actually use him and not just continue looking the way of Tyson to bail him out of certain spots? You really got to look at Dampier and are we only getting big shot plays out of him in the pass game, or is he going to be able to sit under that? Because if he has to only take big shot plays, then I will take that Arizona State secondary in some spots to go make some plays. So until I see Dampier continually hitting the pass game outside of just taking bigger shots in these games. And I'm not talking about the West Virginia game last week on the road. Like, they were going to do whatever they wanted in that spot anyway. Now you're playing a team that's pretty solid defensively, good against the run. If you have to throw it, what are your options? What does that look like? Are you hitting those guys and making good throws? To be determined. But we should see in this spot. It'll be really interesting because it is late night. It tells you a lot about the Big 12 and it puts Utah on the back burner of like getting to Dallas, and it puts Arizona State in the as the number one option to end up there. With the tough schedule they have coming up.
Texas Tech's next week on deck, man. Unbelievable. That's
and a trip to Ames.
At the end of it.
It's insane.
It's a tough stretch.
We're gonna find out a lot about this Arizona State team, as they were my consensus to win the Big 12. I thought they were that good, but they're proving me right so far.
But I had Utah winning the Big 12, and I was really excited about it. But I haven't seen the next step. Maybe this is when we see it.
I think so. Reese, any more thoughts, or just lead us into picks? This is the toughest place to play in college football. That came out of your mouth once upon a time, long time ago. Does Utah finally get their first Big 12 win at home?
It would be an absolute shame if I were to go against the Utes after saying that. But I think, Shafe, you and JT hit the nail on the head when you're talking about that rush attack that Arizona State's defense has. If they make Utah one-dimensional, make Dampier try to throw the ball, I don't think it's going to be that much of a football game. Not saying they're going to blow them out of the water, but I think you're going to give me Arizona State plus the 6. I think they can go in there and win this football game outright. We got to see out of Dampier, like JP just said. If they're going to be taking multiple shots downfield, we'll take that Arizona State's that secondary, and that defensive front has been solid too. If they take away that run game, I just think Utah's going to have to play catch up.
Is this the third straight week I take the Arizona State money line? Took them live down against TCU, took them against Baylor. I'm thinking so. I will be taking the points with Arizona State for every reason that we laid out there. Fine. I mean, show me, Utah. If this is different, show me. And then I'm okay with being wrong. I've been plenty wrong this year before on other things. So prove me wrong, Utah, but I will take Arizona State in this spot. Justin.
This is a really big spot for Arizona State. And I think if anyone's going to go into Rice-Eccles and a night game and come out victorious, I do trust Arizona State the most out of all the teams in the Big 12. I guess outside of Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Outside of Texas Tech. But something that we haven't really touched on with this Arizona State team, kind of like how me and you keep touching on it with Iowa State stuff. This team has dicked around a lot this year and started really slow. They did it against Baylor. They did it against TCU. They did it against Mississippi State. And they were able to overcome a couple of those games, but they weren't able to overcome it at that night spot in that harsh environment in Mississippi State. So as much as we got to see Dampier and that offense kind of come alive, I've got to see Arizona State play 4 quarters of good football. And I just think this is going to be a tough environment, kind of like Mississippi State, for them to kind of go ahead and do that. So I've got Arizona State covering, but I've got Utah winning 24-21.
Okay. I think that's a great point. I'm really interested to see that. JP, the de facto Big 12 team, you taking Utah here? Or is that Kansas State?
What?
Your de facto Big 12 team.
I like the program that Dillingham has, and I thought they were the smart pick to take them to win the Big 12 this year. 6 is too many for the way these two teams play, and so I'll take Arizona State. But I think I'm with JT here that you can't start slow. You're begging to make something happen late. It's not a place it usually happens. So it's also a spot maybe they stand up and Utah wins by 20. It just looks like the team that we thought they were preseason. Yeah,
this stretch could really.
Congratulations, Utah, on the cover and win outright.
Yeah, that's 4. Count it 4 on Arizona State, and you can guarantee Parks.
Love that out of us. Love that out of us.
You can't sell short.
You
can't sell short like the, what do we call it, the hunger aspect of Utah in this game too. Yeah. Arizona State, as much as they lost a game to Mississippi State, they've got a game to lose in the Big 12. I mean, you can lose one conference game. Utah's already got a conference loss. They can't afford to lose this game. Their whole season's kind of on the line here. The night spot. I mean, they're going to come out hungry and ready to play. You can count on that.
Yeah, if we're taking outright winners, I'll take Utah, but we're not. So
we take points around here. That's what the real winners do. That's what the real ball knowers do.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah, and we don't shy away from we don't shy away from records here, as Justin and I are the lone two guys who are under 500 for the ATS board, but we have plenty of football left. All right, that is Arizona State, Utah. That is all of our Power 4 previews. We have a couple more things to get to tonight, but we have a giant slate on deck. Maybe we'll touch on a couple of other teams before we get out of here. But let's take a quick break. Subscribe to the channel if you're sitting here. Like the video, guys. We're trying to grow this. We just crossed 1,500 subs. We appreciate you and love you guys so much. We're growing here, and maybe we can get to 2K before the end of the season. Shout out to our other partner, Frost Buddy, the best drinkware in all of collegiate sports. 80-plus teams. They got awesome koozies. I tell my Iowa State fans this all the time. Guys, they have a red and gold koozie and a black koozie. Of course, they're accommodating to everybody around here. Use the QR code if you're watching us here on YouTube, or use frostbuddy.com/PTFS to let them know that we sent you there. So shout out to all those guys at Frost Buddy. All right, now without further ado, our G5 game of the week. And if you don't live under a rock, you probably know where we're going with this. It is a massive one Friday night. It is South Florida at North Texas. Let's go to Denton Friday night for Friday Night Lights in Texas. Fellas, nothing better than that. This one is going to be awesome. This one not only has giant American Athletic Conference implications on the line, but this one could catapult one of these two teams into the driver's seat of being that G5 contender for the playoff. So, Jordan, I will give you the honors. Start us off here. What's the rundown in this one for people to know?
Yeah, happy that there's going to be people covering this one in some spots. I've seen it quite a few different networks and other people pick it up and talk about it. We do one every week. Maybe we have a bonus one here from this episode. But for me, it's strength on strength, or strength on weakness on both sides of the football, right? I think the rush offense for South Florida is clearly their strength of that offense. And then the North Texas rush defense isn't bad, but I don't think they've been tested in the same way. So like a little over 4 yards a carry they're giving up. And then you flip it to the other side, USF, when it's been tested a ton through the air, has given up some things. Maybe that's an effort thing. Maybe it's late in the game and some numbers are inflated. But North Texas and Mestamaker has found a way to continually get better through the pass game. This is what North Texas has done for it feels like eternity, is to be a really good team through the air and really consistent in that spot. So you have to look at what you really trust more. This is easily the best defensive front North Texas will have seen. It's the best defense they've seen. They haven't really been tested to the gills yet. I know they went on the road and played Army. They got into a kind of a tough one there, found a way to lose that one. And now they're going to come home and play one of the bigger games in program history, and definitely in recent history.
Yep.
For USF, there's a difference between how they handle, a game against Miami, a game against Boise early in the year, a game against Florida, and this one. I think they really know what they're getting into. They're going on the road to a spot that's going to be a little more bumping. It's a Friday night. People are going to, if you're a North Texas fan, you're going to be filling the building. It's probably cheaper to get
almost in there. Sold out, I saw.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're going into a place that's going to be buzzing a little bit. But you've been in tough environments. You've had yourself pinned down. You've had yourself put in a spot where you got to make plays to keep games going. I'm talking about like the Florida game got weird. They've gotten in some weird spots in other games. In Boise, they ended up just pulling away. But there's a difference maker in this whole thing, and it's Byron Brown. He's going to carry the football more than anybody. When he has weapons on the outside, he's got to be a little more consistent on getting them the football and raise the completion percentage, keep it away out of the defense. North Texas has been better, and I think that's clear defensively. I don't think anybody would tell you that they're as poor as they've been in years past. They're pretty solid. They're numbers-wise one of the better ones within the American. But I don't think this is the same attack they've seen. And then you could say the same thing for USF. Outside of Miami, this is probably the best pass attack they've seen to this point. And it's not particularly close. So who do you believe is going to get theirs more often? I think if you look at both offenses, who's more likely to become one-dimensional? Like, where would you guys lean? Like, I lean a little more like USF's a little more prone to go one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing if they continue to find the run game they have. And Mestamaker doesn't turn it over to this point to throw a pick, which is a difference maker in any game you slice it.
That's a great point, JP, because you ask who's maybe more one-dimensional. It's funny because Byron Brown uses his legs much better than Drew Messamaker does. And that's how Byron Brown creates the shot plays. That's how he's top 40 in over 12 yards per completion, because it's like using his legs, shot play, big explosive play. But on the other hand, Drew Messamaker is great. But there's another guy that's kind of sliding under the radar as an X factor in this game, and it's freshman Caleb Hawkins, the running back. He's started the last 2 games. He's had over 100 yards in back-to-back games on I want to say 9 carries in one game, 11 in the other. He's running for 10 yards a clip. I just picked him up in fantasy. He's projected 25 points this week. He's going to be
job, Shave.
He's a guy to keep an eye out for.
Those
So if this guy,
garbage.
If this freshman goes for 150, you heard it here. Play the fight song first. I will flip it to the other side quickly. Both defenses are really aggressive. They're both top 10 in takeaways, and that's whoever wins the turnover battle. Thanks, Captain Obvious, is probably going to win this football game, but it's true. They both have 5 fumble recoveries and 6 interceptions on the year. Somebody's going to be bound to turn it over, and these teams are both aggressive offensively. So we'll see who gets out of there unscathed. Justin, any thoughts on this G5 game of the week? What do we got for you?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on both these teams being top 10 in takeaways coming into this game, because it's been a really big factor for them. I mean, it's kind of what kept USF in the Florida game and got them that big win earlier in the year, and we know what they did to Boise that first game of the season. But I think kind of looking at these two teams here, they've had very similar stat profiles, but North Texas has kind of had to scave through a couple of these games with 2 overtime wins, and that's credit to them. Mestamaker's been tough as nails at the end of these games. Like we said, he hasn't turned the ball over. They haven't missed a beat. Losing Chandler Morris coming into this year, that really kind of surprised me. But I just think this South Florida defense is going to be something they haven't really seen before. And at the end of the day, I like Byron Brown being the best player in this game and kind of having the ball in his hands. I don't really think this North Texas defense is going to hold up to some of the tests that he's seen so far. So I think at the end, I think it's going to pan out well for South Florida.
Reese, just so you know, Cam Parks is probably watching this. So be careful with where you go this, but give us the rest of your thoughts and then lead us into picks.
I was going to say, Parksy, we'll talk about Mestamaker. The guy has yet to turn the ball over. That North Texas offense, they're leading the American. They got 44 points a game. So all signs point to it being a successful game for them. But I think JT just hit it. They haven't seen a defense like this yet. USF has been tested. And I mean, look at North Texas too. You gave up 38 to an Army team who has looked like what they were last year, and they gave up 30 to a Western Michigan team too. So it's a good thing you're scoring 44 points a game because your defense isn't that solid. But you are getting the takeaways. Byron Brown just came off two interceptions against the Charlotte team, but he did also just have a career high in rushing yards that game too. So you're talking about if a team's going to get one-dimensional, if USF is running the football well, that means they're eating up clock. That means you're not giving Mestamaker enough time with that football, I think, to catch up to him. I think Byron Brown, Golish, I think they just got kind of a swagger going to them. Now they open up their biggest game in conference so far. I think they can head into Denton, and sorry, Parks, but I think the Bulls are in a great spot for this one.
Oh, no. Is that what they do? Do they do it like this? I don't even know. I probably just pissed off. Yeah, okay. That's okay. I did that right. I was just making sure.
Like this.
Oh, it is like this.
Yeah.
Okay. I just pissed off some South Florida fans.
Somebody's so mad.
JP, Iowa brought back Dan McCarney to try to fire up the boys against Indiana. Do you think the boys of the Mean Green bring in Dan McCartney to try to get him fired up for this Friday night win? And does it get him over the top?
I watched this North Texas and Dan McCartney team get beat by 62 in Kinnick one time. So I don't know if that's the call I'd make. I think that this is high scoring, high flying, tough for anybody to really find a stop in some spots. But I do like USF in this spot. I think it was weird they fell out of the AP poll after losing to Miami. They're back ranked. They're in our poll. I think North Texas is worthy of the shot. Now, this doesn't mean North Texas is a bad team. Doesn't mean that they're not worth it, having a shot within the American still to this point. I just like USF and what they're kind of built up at this point in time.
Justin, I mean, from everything you were giving me, I'm just going to guess you have South Florida in this one as well.
Give me the Fighting Golishes 31-27.
Oh, no.
But he's
Oh,
got
no.
scores every game.
Oh, no.
The fighting bullishes.
You know what this is going to look like when you're the top coaching candidate coming out of 2025? A win at North Texas is going to look really good on your resume. So, yeah, I like this one. I think you could, Reese and JT both mentioned it. Thank you for mentioning it. I think USF has dudes on the defense. And I don't think, North Texas has seen who? Army, Washington State.
Don't disrespect the troops like that.
I think Army's defense is,
right.
I think they've taken a step back defensively this year. So yeah, I like South Florida in this one. I think they're legit, but I'm excited to see what the atmosphere is like in Denton tomorrow. It's so nice to see somebody
4-1 on the board.
It won't be a clean sweep.
Yeah, you know Parks. Parks will be taking North Texas, so I don't feel as bad taking USF there. Justin, were you saying something?
You said tomorrow. It's Friday, the game.
Sorry. Friday. Thank you. By the time we put this out there, probably is our G5 game of the week. It will be tomorrow. So that is our G5 game of the week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, remember to subscribe to the channel and like the video and comment below your score prediction for that awesome matchup Friday night. Now, a little extra dessert, little G5 dessert, gentlemen. We have another massive one on Saturday because we cover all 136 teams around here. I don't know if we're going to give it the 10 to 15 minutes that we normally do, but we're going to talk about you because nobody else is talking about you. I'm talking about you, Minutemen of UMass. I'm talking about you, Kent State. I believe this one is actually, again, you throw up the graphic there. I believe UMass is actually the road team in this one. So Parks,
yes,
be better. Be better, but also thank you for the graphic. Thanks for the graphic. Again, if you just read it, UMass at Kent State, then you got it right.
Go the other way.
Let's lay it out for us. I'll get us started here. According to Bill Connolly's power ratings, University of Massachusetts is 209th. There are 136 teams in the FBS, so this team would be very bad at the Division II level. Well, lucky for UMass, Kent State is 193rd, so they really wouldn't be that much better at the Division II level. Neither of these teams have an FBS win. I also must mention that Kent State beat Merrimack by 6 points. UMass lost to Bryant. So UMass has also fallen to another FCS school. Both teams give up over 35 points per game. These are the two worst rushing offenses in college football. UMass runs for 61 yards per game. Kent runs for 72 yards per game. Who wants to get us started here? I'm going to throw it to you, Reese. Let's talk about some of the positives in this one. I kind of laid out the negatives. Let's turn it around. Let's talk about the positives in this sicko matchup.
Well, hey, Kent State has a chance to shove it to me because I absolutely shouldn't have bet against them last week. My best bet was Kent State. No, and Oklahoma's not going to score 46 against this defense. What are we talking about? But you talk about all those stats, Shafe, and how their offenses have struggled. That's because, go look at these teams' schedule. Like, they have played competition. Like, Kent State is going and playing some dudes. UMass just played Missouri. Like, they're going in and they're getting money for their guys to come in next year. But they're going in and they're playing competition. So, like, you talk about how the stats are so low, but who the hell knows, like, when it comes to this game, like, they can both be playing at each other's level, and we could see some things we haven't seen out of these teams yet. They haven't run the ball extremely well, but who knows? Maybe just going against a poor defense is going to open it up for Kent State. But I think Kent State offensively, like you talk about how poor the rush attack is, DeShields hasn't been too bad throwing the ball. He's got 5 touchdowns through the year. He's only thrown 1 interception. He's struggling to complete the ball. He's only at 58%, which is an issue. But, Cade Wardford, who's listed as a running back, but he's leading receptions for the team. He's got 10, and he's got 4 touchdowns as well, too. So I think if you're going to do that, Kent State's going to go try to get the ball through the air because it's going to be easier, I think, if you can get that rush game going. But I think the strength of that Kent State offense is going to be throwing the ball. I just watched him play Oklahoma where it was 44-0. If we would have got a safety, it would have covered. Kid hit a
signed up for 60.
Yeah, they signed up for 60. Kid hit a 38-yard ball down the field. I'm like, well, there goes my chance. But and then you look at like other guys out wide. You got Deshaun Martin and Ardell Banks, who I think Deshaun only has 1 touchdown, but Ardell, like, they're both averaging 19 yards per reception. So, like, when they open it up, they can open up a little bit on this UMass defense, who has obviously we've seen they've been struggling too. So I think if Kent State's going to get after it, they're going to throw the ball early and often.
I give DeShields a little bit of slack because he's now seen Texas Tech's defense, Oklahoma's defense, and Florida State's defense.
Florida State, yeah.
He's got one win against Merrimack, and this was a team, fellas, that was up 14-0 on Buffalo, who was a lot of people's preseason MAC champion. Like the games that you're playing relative competition, Kent's been serviceable. So I'm really interested to see what they got when they get this UMass team to come to town. JP, you probably know a little bit more about the Minutemen more than the rest of us because you saw this team come to Iowa City. Is there anything like positively we can talk about UMass here that gives them a shot against Kent?
Yeah, shout out to the guys over at Minuteman Command.
Yep.
Had a blast having them on when Iowa did this. And then I was actually listening to their episode that dropped today, their flagship pod. Check them out on YouTube and some other spots. Last week, Brandon Rose as well as AJ Harrison kind of split reps, basically the same amount of passes last week in attempts. Harrison's a little more of an athlete. He has the ability to use his legs. Rose is a little more of that pocket passer presence. I think they're trying to groom Harrison into becoming kind of that guy for the next couple of years for them. And he's talented. That's kind of been reiterated throughout the program. But Jaquan Gibson on the outside is a problem. He's a problem for anybody that's covering him. He's their best receiver. He has 3 times the targets and receptions as anybody else on the team. When I talked to the guys at Minuteman Command, I asked the question. I said, is this just the only option or is he that good? They said, no, he's that good. Like he's really good. He has a chance to be all MAC in some spots. So that's going to be a problem. I think that's a guy that can get Kent and beat them. Now they do struggle running the football. They had less than 100 against Western Michigan a week ago, and then they only ran for about 100 against Bryant. So if they become one-dimensional, there's a problem. I think that's why they've started to use Harrison a little bit more, is with the ability to use his legs and kind of bail them out of spots where the offensive line, to be completely honest with you, has struggled beyond belief. And so that is something to compare to. It's like when Kent's been gotten, it's through the air by just guys being better athletes. And I think Gibson is one of those guys that is a better athlete. And then you guys touched all like everything I want to talk about Kent with what that passing offense can be. You guys touched on. So I'll just give you a little insight into the Minutemen in that spot.
Does Harrison start the whole game? Like I didn't listen to the entire episode. I was just listening to it as we jumped on this Minuteman.
I don't know. I think they're going to kind of stay with what they've been doing. It's kind of started to move that way. I didn't get definitive news. Maybe I didn't look hard enough in some spots, but I don't think he starts the whole time. I think they still kind of split some reps in some spots.
For those who remember, Rose started a few games for Utah last year. I know they struggled a little bit, but Rose was, I mean, this was the whole thing. They brought over Utah's offensive coordinator with Rose. So I see why they're kind of latching on to him, but I get the excitement with a freshman quarterback with Harrison. So something to watch there. I think the quarterback matchup in this one it's something to follow. Justin, give us any leftover thoughts or just lead us into picks, whatever you got. This
is Kent State's over-under on the year was 1.5, right?
I believe so.
I believe that was like the last.
Let's get there.
Thing we talked about last time I was on here for the over/under wins pod. So I was one of the only guys who tried to make a defense of Kent State over 1.5 wins. So I'm
take us home.
I'm not going to come on here today and say that Kent State's not going to pull out a win against the worst Division I team in the country. So give me Kent State at home. I'll say 27-21.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I don't even know if like
outburst.
Does UMass even have like 50 guys to travel on this roster? Like they are
dealing with some injuries. Yeah,
it's bad.
They're struggling to keep guys healthy right now.
No, granted, Kent State's coming off of a 2-game stretch of Florida State and Oklahoma too. Like they're kind of limping to the finish line at this point. But you got to feel like they're pretty jacked up and they're relatively more healthy. Plus they have the known commodity at quarterback. So for that, I'm going to take the home team and just take a field goal. This is a home game, right? I'm not just messing that up.
It's home game.
Okay.
Yep.
The graphic was
it's Ohio, not Kentucky.
Yeah. So I will be taking Kent State to just cover. And I think they win this game by even maybe 10 points, honestly. JP?
Yeah, I'm on Kent as well. I like what Harrison is. I think that they will get theirs. Don't get me wrong. I think Harrison takes another step and makes some plays. Gibson will have his possibility for a 100-yard game in this spot. But I think Kent needs this. I think UMass is a little more banged up than we are leading on to be, especially defensively right now. So it's just going to be tough for them to travel. And but Harrison, I can get anybody fired up. I don't know if you guys listen to any of his pressers, but that's a coach you like to talk and listen to.
Seems like a real guy. Just like gonna give it to you straight.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I pulled from him. Reese, give it to us straight. You taking UMass? You gonna do it?
Absolutely not. It's a clean sweep. The boys in Dick Saber and get fired up. They got to win this one too because they have the upcoming MAC schedule where it's not. I think it's going to be kind of a little tougher to get a win there, so they got to get this one at home. I'll take Kent State because also I talked about all those passing stats. UMass is getting up 250 yards through the air too, so I think that boils down for success for Kent State. So,
hot take. I think Kent gets this one, and I bet they get one more before the season's over. But they get 3 wins over there. There you go. We'll probably cover that one too. We'll probably cover that one too. We cover everything around here. Appreciate you tuning in. If you listen to this one, you are a true college football junkie and an absolute sicko. So that is our dessert of our G5 game of the week, our second G5 game of the week. So thanks for tuning in there. Before we get out of here, we got to get to the fun stuff around here. We got betting segments to talk about, all that good stuff. Before we get into that, though, I need to throw it out there before we get out of here. Michigan, USC, Oklahoma, Texas. We do have Red River this weekend. I know we didn't.
Yes, hey, we need to make about start doing shows during the week because these are some good ones.
Is there anything you want to get out there, JP, that any of these games that you just want to throw out there that we should know?
Yeah, there's a world. Bryce Underwood lights the world on fire, and that game's 54-52 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But I do look at that one in just the Big Ten team crossing 2 time zones thing again. Penn State was able to go in there last year, win a shootout with USC. I think Michigan is in a spot where they're feeling real confident, and that's a dangerous spot to be. And USC is just begging to get back on the field after losing a tough one in Champaign. I think if Mateer plays, I have a best bet I was going to take around that game, but I'm going to go a different spot. I just don't know where you look at that line, and it's smell the rat is basically what I'm telling you. How does Texas get up and score on this defense? And if Mateer's playing, you got to have a little more confidence in the whole thing. And if he's not, that's the worry is, maybe they just can't score enough to pull away from anybody.
I can't wait for that game to end up being like a Cyhawk game and people just being like, this is the greatest thing of all time. This is college football. Just 2 great teams going at it. And it's like the same thing as Iowa State, just like inept offensive lines going up against really good defenses. And it's 13-10. Like if Michael Hawkins plays, that will happen. Like run to the counter, take the under. Don't care what you do. Just take the under if Michael Hawkins is playing.
This one's priced right now as John Mateer is going to play. Do you guys actually think he's going to play?
I actually do. I feel it. Playing, isn't it? Hot take. I think he's playing.
Prices he's playing. They're saying if John Mateer doesn't play, it's going to be like 5.5.
I think he's playing.
Crazy.
I really do. I have 0 sources, so I'm not going to act like I know something. Just everybody feels like he's not playing. I like to kind of go the opposite way.
He answered 2 weeks ago. I'd be shocked if he played.
But we don't even really know what kind of hand surgery he got. Like what?
It's true.
It could be like carpal tunnel. You're fine. It's whatever. Like who cares?
He's getting surgery.
Dave went the Rolodex for his one hand injury he could think of.
Reese, you come to me to listen to college football takes. You don't come to me to hear about hand surgery stuff. Like, come on now. Reese, Reese is the one doctor on our team. Tell us.
We got to get to the best bets because I need my guy Friday KC to be in the chat for this one.
Okay. I forgot to grab his comment if he's still around. He said, I hope you all are ready for a massacre tomorrow night. And I will tell you, Mr. Friday KC, you are not wrong. Sam Houston is a god awful team. So yeah, I would make that a best bet. So let's do it. Let's go into best bets. And as always, partnered by our friends at shopnorivals.com. No Rivals, the best hats in all of collegiate sports. Use the code PTFS at checkout for free shipping. We appreciate those guys, and we appreciate making you guys money. Let's recap last week's best bet. Reese at 2-4 this year. He had Oklahoma minus 45.5 over Kent State. Didn't get there. Not
44.
Quite.
Come on.
44-0.
44-0. Come on.
Why not a field goal, Brent? Why not a field goal? Parks, Texas Tech minus 10.5 over Houston. That was my play, but he stole it. Good pick, Parks. Got the win there. Puts Parks at 3-2. JP, don't call it a comeback. Sitting at 2-4, gets another win. San Diego State minus 6 over Colorado State. That one wasn't even close. That one might have been the most free money of the entire year, as my Rams are just the epitome of god-awful. And I lost again as I am 3-3. Michigan 17.5 against Wisconsin at home. Doesn't get there. Felt like right side the whole time. And just Michigan decided.
I love that pick, Shafe. I loved it.
Michigan just wanted to get to Pasadena or to LA this week, I guess. Just like kind of scathe on by. So whatever, Michigan, you're dead to me because you don't give effort. That's fine. So let's do it. Best bets. JP, I'm assuming you're I am assuming where you're going with this, but give it to us. What's your best bet this week?
Laying with the Gamecocks, please. Jacksonville State -7.
The real Cox.
I'm telling you right now, this team might run for 335. They have a chance here to just. They've been good. They've gotten again some tougher G5 games and lost. But I think this is one they go get, right? I think Jax is just a lot better than what Sam Houston is right now. They're still good defensively. This is the most one-dimensional team of all time in Sam Houston through the air. I think Jacksonville State can cover it up a little bit and run the football. So give me the Gamecocks.
GA said it well. Like, you get this Phil Longo, air raid, up-tempo offense, whatever the hell you want to call it, and it's just like
not working.
Everything it's not supposed to be. It's
not
so
working.
bad.
Just a heads
you
up,
feel
Phil.
bad.
You don't have Drake May anymore.
And I get it. Like,
Casey, by the way, you keep saying free money all year, and I think you're about 2-1. So I'm going with you now. Like, we can even this thing up, or
he's up.
3-1. Yeah,
he's winning.
He's up.
He's winning. I feel bad for Hunter Watson, who, like, I mean, not that anybody was going to give him a call because I didn't think he was that good anyways, but like he was one of the lone guys that stuck around for this team and was like, you get your quarterback back from a 9-win football team, and it is, I mean, they're just as bad as anybody is right now. So that's rough stuff over at Sam Houston, as you're not even playing in your own stadium this year. Reese, Mr. 2-4 with JP. Let's get to 3-4. What do we got?
This is one where I think everybody's going to be high on this team coming off of an upset win last week, but I'm going to take Texas A&M minus the 7.5 with Florida coming to town. We saw Florida go to LSU, and we saw DJ Lagway absolutely struggle. I think College Station is going to get up. Marcel Reed, this A&M team, is going to keep solidifying themselves as a top 5 team and a team for the SEC title at the end of the year. So give me Texas A&M minus the 7.5.
Well, Reese, you're in luck. I liked Florida, so good win there. JT, first best bet on the show. We're going to start your record. You're at 0-0, so you have a chance to be the only one above 500 next week on this segment. So get us started.
Yeah, you guys trying to make me feel bad that my picks aren't very good on Twitter, and you guys are just missing.
I haven't said anything, JT.
Yeah, you've been hiding all the money. We get it. You're hiding it in your best bets. So give us the winner.
Real. Give me USC minus 2.5 at home.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a lot of people are starting to really hype up Michigan. I know they really like that second half performance last week from Bryce Underwood in the offense, but I think that Wisconsin team just kind of sucks. And I still really haven't seen this Michigan offense play two-dimensional football. Bryce Underwood has yet to throw for over 150 yards on the road. And I know this USC defense has yet to win a Big Ten classic football game, but they're still top 25 in the country in rush defense. And I don't think they're going to take away Justice Haynes in this Michigan offense, but I think they can slow them down just a bit. I think this Michigan receivers are going to really struggle in this spot. And I like Jade Maeva in this USC offense to get enough points. If they're getting minus 2.5, I'll take them kicking the field goal, winning at home by 3 or more.
I like that pick. Actually, I like that pick a lot. So I'm glad we kind of, a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't take USC in these situations. Like anytime they play one of these big Ten teams,
and they've struggled. But I mean, you look at them last year, that really good game against Penn State.
Should have won that one.
That they easily could have won. And it's not like they're on the road. Lincoln Riley at USC has been really bad on the road, but at home they're like 29-13, or it's something around that. Like, he's got a losing record on the road, but they're really good at home. So I think they'll be able to pull it off.
He doesn't have the chance to complain about playing at 10 a.m. this week or whatever he likes to complain about. So hopefully he can shut his mouth and get a win for you. I like that pick. I couldn't find a bet that I really loved here, but this feels kind of principle-ish. I think JP could back me up in saying that. This one feels principle-ish. and I don't know what it is right now. I took this a couple of days in my notes, but why is Kansas State a 1-point favorite at home against TCU? This is what is this? A 2-5 Kansas State team. This kind of feels like my Cincinnati Iowa State bet last week. I called bullshit. I'm not calling bullshit this week. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna play principle. Kansas State should have. I mean, lost it. Lost
the rat, not the principal.
Well, I think
smell a rat.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. The principal is smelling the rat.
The rat.
Let's
The
talk about the
principal
game.
is smelling the rat. Yeah, I just think Kansas State. I think this is kind of their last hurrah. Like if they lose this one, I think it's actually like all the wheels fall off the wagon. Man, they should have won last week. I mean, just lost in brutal. As JT leads the fan club, he's the president of the Avery Johnson is a scrub fan club. I mean, you just gained a couple more members last week because that pick in the fourth quarter was just can't happen. Can't happen. But talent-wise, I still think it's there. I believe in this team, and I'm not that bullish on TCU. I've had a couple of people come at my throat for saying that a couple of times. So, yeah, Kansas State, -1. Just win at home, Bill Snyder Family Stadium against TCU. All right. Last one of the night. Call the dogs. This is a dogs podcast. I'll go and grab Sully's, give his pick this week. Last week, Reese took Western Kentucky in the points on the road at Delaware. That's a win. That's an outright win. Man, I felt like Delaware was the right side of that one. Sorry, Reese. Not going to discredit winners around here, but that's how I feel. Parks had Florida 6.5. Also took my pick. That was awesome, Parks. Thank you. That is a win and an outright win as they get the win in Gainesville against Texas.
Parks is back in it.
Ooh, JP, Big Ten JP, +9.5 against Illinois. Didn't get there. And then this one definitely didn't get there as I had Cal +3 against Duke. And they lost by 20. They went up 21-7 and then lost like 48-27. Just gross stuff. Gross stuff. So that leaves us with the dog standings. Reese at 13 points. JP at 12 points. Parks, after all the shit talk I gave him, he jumps me at 10 points now after having 0 points a few weeks ago. And I'm at last place at 9 points. But we get it back this week. So, JT, first time dog better. Who's barking this week? Who we got?
My first time dog, and I can't just take someone to cover. I'm taking a dog to win this weekend. Give me a 12:30 local kick on the CW network. Oregon State's getting their first win of the year at home in Corvallis over Wake Forest. Not a whole lot to break down on this one.
Yeah.
I just think the buck stops here, and Oregon State is going to walk out with their first.
What is going on?
JP.
Brown,
JP.
baby. Get him going.
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go.
Play it. Yeah.
All right.
What's that number?
It's 2.5.
Oh, JT. We got rules around here.
It's Wake Forest
JP,
minus
can't do that.
2.5.
We got rules around here. You got to pick a dog bigger than 3 points.
It's got to be a field goal or more.
All right. Nope, that's fine.
Give him
Yeah,
2.5.
we'll give it to him.
I had some others. You guys go ahead and come back.
Don't give your
me.
second one. If someone else takes it,
Yeah.
we'll keep
You guys go ahead and come back to me. You didn't
He's
tell
got
me
more.
it had to be 3.
He's got more in the chamber. Reese, back-to-back winners this week. What do we got?
I would love that to happen. I was going to go one way, but our unanimous pick, I'm going the other way now. So I'm actually going to go Maryland plus the 6.5 at home versus Nebraska.
I don't get why everybody loved Maryland last week and hates them this week. I don't know.
Maryland was my backup pick last week if somebody had taken my other one.
I saw that get up to 7. I'd give you 7.
It probably is at 7.
Well, it was 7, I think, when I was doing the research, and it came down to 6.5 today. So like it was 7 yesterday and it's 6.5 today. So like I think Nebraska still goes in there and win this football game, but I think Maryland keeps it within the number. I mean, they played Washington extremely well, and Nebraska's going on the road. So
this is a big spot for Nebraska. Like Nebraska feels like they lose this one, even the last couple of years.
Nebraska loses football games. It was last week and this week back to back, and they passed the test last week.
100%. JP.
3 teams in the FBS that hold this nickname, but none of them welcome in the Service Academy this weekend. Give me Temple plus the 9.5. I think Keeler's got the boys kind of humming a little bit. They look better offensively. The defense kind of got reamed a little bit. He got into them, and they look pretty good. I think Navy's solid, but I think there's a world here where Temple scores with them and makes enough plays to stay with 9.5. So give me Temple.
9.5. Oh, I have two options here. I got a 9.5 point spread, and I got a Service Academy.
In relation to your Maryland play.
Yeah.
Sorry, G.
I'm gonna go the 9.5 point spread. Give me Troy 9.5 at Texas State. That's my play, coming off a big win at home over South Alabama. Feel like Troy could score with Texas State here. Texas State losing just brutal fashion last week, and then cover three gave that stat on like GJ Kinney's record against people in the Sun Belt.
Yep.
I didn't really know that, and now I'm following that trend. So I'm going to take Troy, who's leaps and bounds better than where they were last year. I think it's a good young team in the Sun Belt, back to where they were in their John Summerall days.
How about Summerall giving them a shout out too? Like, still love the program and the guys he's got over there.
That was cool. I love John Summerall. JT, we'll let you keep it, but unless you really love this other pick, what do you got?
I don't love this other pick, but I think one that could be a sneaky cover is Kansas plus 14.5.
Oh my
Everyone's
God.
getting.
All right, rewind. You just take Oregon State and go. You just take Oregon State. Take Oregon State. Just take Oregon State and go home. Just take Oregon State and go home.
Hey, he's fine. He's fine. You take whatever you want, JT.
I had a best bet option of Kansas under 21.5 team total points.
Yeah. I think Tech. I think Tech just rips Daniels apart. I think he just rips him apart. But this also, I love Leipold actually, and I think that this is it's a big spot for him to kind of jump on the map.
They haven't seen, Leipold, big spot, big dog. Everyone's writing him off. Night game, Kansas could be juiced up too. They haven't seen a passing attack like Kansas yet.
Get him up.
We'll give you two this week, Justin, since you're so far behind our picks. So Justin gets 2 dog bets this week.
There we go.
That was fun. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Parks, we miss you. I hope you have a safe flight back from Vegas. I hope you all have a great week 7 because, man, we are in for a treat. We will see you guys back here again next week. Before you jump out of here, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and give us a score prediction for the week. We want to hear from you. We appreciate you guys. My name is Jake. That's Reese. That's JP. That's JT. We'll see you next week. Let's play it.